Hi, in the previous videos we have seen what are increasing, decreasing and constant functions. In this video we will see what are even functions and what are odd functions. So let us begin with even functions. A function is called an even function when the graph of that function is symmetrical about y-axis. So suppose we have a function whose graph is something like this. We say that this is a graph of an even function. F of x is even because this graph is symmetrical about y-axis. Okay, so by looking at the graph we can tell whether a graph is an even function or not. Now, how do we test whether a given function is an even function without actually plotting it? So suppose we have f of x as x to the power 4 plus 3x square plus 5. Now let us try to find f of negative x. If we have to find negative x, we will replace all the x by the negative x. So we will do negative x raised to the power 4 plus 3 times negative x raised to the power 2 plus 5. It's a constant term. A negative number raised to an even power always gives you a positive number. So x to the power 4, again negative x raised to the power 2 gives you an x square. So positive 3x square and a positive 5. And what is x to the power 4 plus 3x square plus 5? It is nothing but our f of x. Okay, so if f of negative x is equal to f of x, then such function is called an even function. Let us try to prove it graphically also. So I'll try plotting fx as x to the power 4 plus 3x square plus 5. This is the graph of the given function. Now we see that this particular graph is symmetrical about y-axis. Correct? And any graph that is symmetrical about y-axis is called an even function. So this is the way, by looking at the graph we can tell that the function is an even function, or you can substitute x as negative x in the function, and if f of negative x becomes equal to f of x, then the function is called an even function. Now what are odd functions? Let us take a function f of x is equal to x to the power 5 plus 2x cubed. Let us try to find f of negative x. So we will get negative x to the power 5 plus 2 times negative x to the power 3. A negative number raised to an odd power gives a negative answer. And what do we see? If we take out a negative common, we are left with x to the power 5 plus 2x cubed, which is nothing but f of x. So we see that f of negative x is equal to negative of fx, and when this condition is true, then that f of x is called an odd function. Please remember that in an odd function there should be no constant term. Because the sign of the constant term will remain the same, and in that case we will not get f of negative x as negative fx. For example, if f of x is, say, x to the power 3 plus 5. When we do f of negative x, we will do negative x whole cube plus a 5. So this x cube changes to negative x cube, but the constant term 5 remains as positive 5, and in this scenario f of negative x will never be equal to f of x. Okay, and it is because of this power 5. It is because of this constant term 5. So you have to note that in an odd function there should be no constant term, or the constant term should be 0. Let us look at the graph of this. This is the graph, and we see that this graph is not symmetrical about y-axis, but it is symmetrical about origin. Okay, so an odd function graph will always be symmetrical about origin, which is 0, 0. So what all we have seen, that in an odd function, if we have to test whether a given function is odd or not, we will find f of negative x. If f of negative x is negative of fx, then that function is an odd function. By looking at the graph, if a function is symmetrical about the origin, then it's an odd function. And remember, in an odd function there can't be a constant term. Okay, so we have looked at the odd function and we saw that f of negative x will become negative fx only when all the powers of the variables are odd. Correct? Let us go back and see the even function. In the even function, we saw that all the powers of the variable were even. So whenever we have a function with all odd powers, fx with all odd powers of variable, and 0 constant term, then that particular function will be an odd function. And if fx has all even powers or exponents of the variable, then that particular function is an even function. So I hope the odd and even function is clear to everyone. If you have any doubts regarding this, you can send me an email at kirti.mathacademy@gmail.com. This is my YouTube channel, Mathacademy. If you have liked my videos, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.